Good afternoon, everyone. As part of our series of conversations, I'm delighted to welcome Steve Gates, Managing Director of PPP Taking Care. Your new role, you're new to the tech sector, Steve, and I'm really overwhelmed by your energy and passion that you've shown over the last few years. And you've made an immediate impact and difference. And your support's been absolutely fantastic, not only to TSA, but to the industry overall. So I have a few questions that I would like to just explore with you today about, one, your energy and how you've applied it, but what difference it's making to you as an organisation, and more importantly, the wider sector. You know, as a national tech provider, you have different USPs. You operate in a slightly different way, but it would be good to spend a little bit of time just exploring what the purpose of PPP Taking Care is.
No, absolutely, and thank you, Alyson, for the invitation. I think probably two things to say here. One, as an organisation, we do feel like we are a new player within the tech sector, but we bring with us 30 years of heritage. So clearly, as an organisation, for a long while we existed within Age UK, and for the last 3.5 years we've been part of AXA. And you're right, we occupy this, I think, quite unique space in the sense that about 2/3 of our business is in what you would call the direct-to-consumer market, and about 1/3 of our business is in local authority, housing association areas. And so we do focus hugely on that consumer retail element. We're probably, if not the largest, certainly one of the largest organisations that are talking to consumers about tech. So we spent some time last year ensuring we were really clear about what we delivered, what extra value we added, and we absolutely landed on two things. One, ultimately our goal is to save lives, and that is the heart of everything we do. And as a result of that, and what we can do with both the loved ones and the carers, our ultimate vision is to help people stay in their homes for longer. So we did a lot of work last year, and there is such a clear desire amongst people to stay in their own home, to keep that independence, to do it with dignity, and that means they need to be supported. And on some occasions, it means that we need to work with their family or their carers to give them the reassurance that mum or dad or grandparents are safe to stay at home. So our absolute purpose is around helping people stay in their homes for longer.
Thank you, Steve. And I think that's really interesting. As a sector, we've provided services into our commissioned services in social care, housing, and more broader into health. But what we did find in our insight report from the Department of Health is there's a growing number of direct consumers purchasing from service providers, and that was up to about 25%. I'm sure people listening to the video today and in future weeks from a commissioning, housing and social care commissioning, as well as service providers, would be very interested to have a conversation about that journey. Because last week we spoke and you spoke about the growth during COVID, how you've seen that direct consumer coming directly to you as a service provider to purchase service ones.
And I think you recognise, I'm sure many listeners recognise the pressures that there is on the commissioned budget, and I think consumers are increasingly saying, I want to take responsibility for myself, and if you can provide me with the right support and the right tools, I will absolutely use them. So we've done a lot of work, particularly last year, to understand things like customer needs. And I think the really interesting thing that came out of that was that they're much less interested in the technology sense. what they're really interested in is the benefits and the outcomes for us. And therefore, I think what that means is we as an organisation are really focused around outcomes and benefits. And I think that helps us in our conversations with commissioners as well, because I think as the NHS and social care start to join together more closely, I think outcomes, keeping either people at home for longer and out of more advanced care packages, or helping them return home from hospital more safely, I think will start to become absolutely part of that conversation. And to a certain extent, in our consumer market, we've got, you know, a number of goals about being closer to the customer, about providing an incredibly resilient service, about making sure we are speaking with authority. Part of our strategy is about innovating, and I think all of that benefits us in talking to consumers, and also allows us to bring something different when we talk about a commissioned service. Because to a certain extent, one of the great things about innovating in the consumer market is you know really quickly what does and doesn't work. And that's been an absolute focus for us over the last probably 8-9 months or so.
Well, that's really fantastic, and I'm sure you can share insight and learning across the sector to both the consumers and our commission services. I know that 2019 we all had big visions of what we were going to do, and that, you know, 2025 golden, you know, ticket of the analog to digital. And I know that in PPP you were doing a lot of work on your strategy in 2019. It would be good just to share some of that insight about what your ambitions for future growth and future innovation and expansion is.
Yeah, so we went through all of the AXA companies went through their own 5-year planning cycle, and we all did it last year. So it was a great opportunity to sit down and to be really clear and to do some work where we thought the market would be going in coming years. And I think our absolute conclusion was this, again, this desire for customers to stay in their own home, to be able to manage their health journey much more proactively. And really, in a sense, one of our challenges as an organisation was to start that journey with customers much earlier. So our average customer is aged 83, 84, and we've said as part of our strategy, we want to have solutions for them both in home and out of home. That means we can engage with them from 65 or 70. So let's not see dispersed alarms as being the end part of your life at home. Let's actually think through where maybe you're concerned when you're out of house, you're out of your home and things like that. What are your needs outside as well? So we've got a very clear growth plan, absolutely focused around innovation, focused around dealing with them through the channels that they want to deal with. So we're doing an increasing amount of work with some retail partners, some charities, which again is all about making sure we can meet the customer where they want to meet us and provide the information which is right for them at that time. So that's been our focus. We certainly, over the next 5 years, our internal ambition is to double the number of customers we look after. So we've set ourselves some pretty stretching growth goals. We want to particularly to engage with people at a younger age, and also, and again, this is an increasing part of the conversation, both with customers on the commission side, we want to move from emergency to prevention. And I think having been in health for many years, that conversation is not a new conversation, but I really do think the tech industry, if we grab hold of this, we can really quite fundamentally change the way that customers view us and perceive us. and the way that they see the value that we bring to them.
Absolutely, and that's quite exciting, isn't it? We've talked a lot about prevention and intervention, and I'm sure that a lot of our social care colleagues watching the video today will see some insight there of how these services can really support and slow down the progression of need of people needing that service in social care or health, and how they can, you know, proactively look at their health and well-being in the community, but really embrace that, like you say, at a younger age, which will be able, they'll self-manage their conditions much easier. So fantastic. That's great, Steve, to see that that's one of your key ambitions.
And as a really practical example, during COVID, we ran a pilot whereby we rolled out the nurse and pharmacy helpline to some of our customers. At the moment, we're engaged in a pilot to offer them an online GP service. Again, all because we know and understand the part we can play, and if we're going to look at the wider health, then customers have got to be used to dealing with us and talking about their health needs.
I'm sure it would be great to get some case studies on some of those great examples during COVID, because that's where we've all been challenged in terms of being reactive and responsive in a really timely manner. So definitely the pharmacy and the online tools, it would be fantastic to see exactly what the outcomes were of some of your interventions. I'm interested, so you've talked about your future and what you would like to do, but any specific future interventions and innovation that you want to take forward?
So we're very keen in terms of widening out the range of devices that we offer. We've gone very quickly from an organisation that for most of its life has offered one device to, we offered 2 last year, we offer 5 now, we'll probably offer 6 or 7 by the end of the year. So we're really keen on customer choice and helping guide them to get to the right conclusion. So I think that's really crucial for us. We're in a sense, we've made a very clear strategic decision that we don't want to be a manufacturer, because we want to be able to work with best-in-class providers in that field, and then take them to the customer. So from our point of view, that gives us some real freedoms and some opportunities. And we're talking to some really innovative companies about how they, in a sense, they engage in the tech sector in a really positive and proactive way. So we're really keen about that. And then I think actually what we will in future be talking about is how we look after carers as well, because I think they are an absolutely crucial part of the answer, and therefore how you support and how you work with both formal carers and informal carers, again, I think are both areas of innovation that we want to be bringing in.
Fabulous, Steve. I think it's brilliant that you're starting to focus on carers. Being a carer myself, you know that my dad's had mixed vascular dementia for now 6 years, and we're seeing some severe deterioration. We as a family, and as informal carers, have looked to service providers as yourselves to support us in the journey, and it's really really important. So that's very exciting. And I think when you talk about innovation from a service provider, that is the true innovation, because there's lots of innovation and people think it's technology, which it is. It's the technology embedded into a service wrap innovation that really makes a difference. So it's quite exciting to hear some of those things that you're working on, Steve, which are really will be welcomed from the whole sector.
Yeah, and to your point, Alyson, I think when we talk about the technology-enabled care sector, the tech sector, sometimes we have an internal tendency to focus on the T and the technology bit, whereas I think actually our future is about how we grab hold of the C and the care bit. So I would absolutely agree. I think that's a massive we can bring so much more, I think, to the UK population as a result.
Fantastic. I think finally, we've got lots of opportunities out there, but with opportunities, as you know, we've got challenges. We've all seen our challenges during the pandemic. Have you got some insight, your thoughts about what the future challenges are for the tech sector moving forward, and maybe some advice to the tech sector about how we can overcome them?
Yeah, I'm not sure I've been here long enough for advice, but certainly I think from a, as you say, a service provider's perspective, I think it is all about remaining relevant and all about that deep understanding of customer needs. And in some cases, they will be direct customers. In some cases, they will be commissioners. To your point, some cases it will be companies. I think we absolutely need to open a conversation about the classic sandwich generation of people who are still working and who are perhaps looking after mum and dad in exactly the way you described and still have their own family. And I think that's a real challenge. And I think we've got to make sure that we remain relevant, because technology is moving on around us. And you see the impact of people like Google and Apple and Amazon coming into markets. And I think the way that we, in a sense, avoid that, the way that we remain relevant, is by keeping changing ourselves. And I think that is a real challenge for us as a tech sector. And I think that's where, from our perspective, we absolutely feel there's a role for the TSA, both to be giving that clarity of vision, to be talking to commissioners so that they absolutely understand what benefits we bring, not what technology we bring, but what benefits we bring. And also, I think potentially in the future, moving into that sort of semi-regulator role, where you are really clear that organisations that are accredited or QSF, that really means something, because you're raising the bar. And I think that's what we've got to do as an industry. Yeah. Make sure that if we're at the forefront, then we retain control. If we sit and rest and look back and go, we looked after 1.7 million people for years and years and years, that's a brilliant place to start. But we have got to change that to make sure in 5 years we're looking after 4 million people, 5 million people. I think that's our real collective challenge.
Fantastic. Well, that's setting a challenge for the TSA in the tech sector, which is, and I share your values there. Our core values in TSA are about making a difference, but more importantly, about stronger together. And I do see that we're coming together as key partners, working together to make that real difference. So I thank your contribution, Steve, and your energy. It's been absolutely fabulous. But I would also on the call like to raise awareness that this isn't the last conversation I'm hoping to have with you, Steve. Over the journey of 2020, I would like to follow this up with another call, maybe a couple of months' time, to see on reflection, what did we really learn in COVID, and then what's up in those winter pressures when we all know there's going to be other challenges there. So this isn't the only one, and I would like to follow the calls up and really thank you and PPP for being our headline sponsor this year, but not just funding. You are a supportive role, and that's fantastic with the sector. You put the energy and the enthusiasm in there. You're leading on our resilience special interest group, which, is great. So thank you to you and your team, but a big thank you to your frontline staff. During COVID,
absolutely.
Those are the ones that we really need to applaud. Every Thursday night we did, but we need to continue to applaud them, because what a fantastic job all of the frontline services and the staff have done. So please, from myself and the board and the team, send on my gratitude and thanks to your team.
No, we'll most definitely. Thank you, Alyson.
Thank you.